another exciting episode of Video Game Bang. Your weekly source for all things video game. Featuring your fearless hosts, Cory Vincent.
I'm pretty much Microsoft and Marvel. The cans are on. It's when ish gets real. People get shot during the day?
And Aaron Carter.
Buy the armor, I equip it, and it's like pink thong. The guy that delivers vending machine items in my job, he can play the right.
Fill up your Mountain Dew and grab your Doritos. It's time for Video Game Bang.
What is up, pizzas? Cory Vincent here with the Video Game Bang. And we have a new look today, folks. This is very peculiar. I'll start. Joining me in studio to my left here. You know her, you love her. If she was a Spice Girl, she would be Ducky Spice. Emma.
I don't even think that's a thing. How dare you?
Oh, I'm making him up based off the first thing I thought of when for you, I know you love.
Because you saw Duck the Dark in chat. Yeah.
No.
Yeah?
No,
Yeah?
it was your Duck Chronicles.
Aww.
So Emma, Heart of Gold, spent like an entire week with these ducklings?
Yeah, ducklings.
In her pool filled with chlorine.
And then they all died. Why would you bring that up?
I mean, the story is good because your heart was in the right place.
It was horrible.
It was a tragedy. It was like Romeo and Juliet.
I named them all and buried them. It was a horrible time in my life.
Wow.
Way to start the show.
Let's. All right, I'll fix this one. I can still fix the ship. Joining us all the way from Southern California, Ivy Doomkitty. If she was a Spice Girl, she'd be Kitty Spice. Huh?
Death Spice.
Death
Kitty Spice.
How you been, Ivy? How's your week?
I've been great up until the duckling story. I was
Yeah, me too.
absolutely fantastic.
God.
And then I went crashed and burned.
Nosedive.
I'm doing great. Been super busy gearing up for the summer portion of con season. Otherwise, excited to be here. Good to see you all.
And special guest on the show. Let me get on my soapbox for a moment because every time we have this person on the show, it is a reminder to a simpler time of the VGB when we were just brand new. Me and Aaron didn't know anybody in any kind of industry. We were just GameStop employees who had done like maybe 10 or 15 episodes. And we saw Genese Davis on Twitter, I think, and we were like, oh, that's really interesting. An author, Aaron's a writer. Let's just cold call email and just see what happens. And she was nice enough to like go on this little nobody show that had 15 total downloads in its history. And now look what happened. The show blew up because of her, and she has her own podcast, and she's done incredible things. Genese Davis.
Hello, everybody. I can't even speak after that soapbox. That was awesome, but also made me blush.
How far
Thank you so much for having me.
How far have we come, Genese? Like you're a mother now. I've got a beard. I mean,
it's a big change for everybody.
Hey,
Yeah,
equal changes.
From the beginning, though, I have to give you and Aaron props because you were so professional from the beginning, and I would have never guessed you had 15 downloads. You sounded like you had hundreds and hundred thousands.
Oh no!
So seriously, though, you guys, you asked great questions, in-depth questions, and I always feel. It's common to get the questions of how did you become a writer, or when did you know you were a writer, or how do you get published. But it was really cool that you guys really went in depth with not only books but the creation process and what drives us and what makes us passionate, what makes us fearful or angry. And it was really cool to get those great questions from you.
Which brings me to my first question for you, Genese. When did you know you were a writer?
He's gonna hang up on us.
Oh, that's how much I've grown as an interviewer. I think I've fallen back in time. No, so what's new with you? Because last time we talked, you had some cool stuff in the works that you couldn't talk about, but I'm pretty sure it's out in the open because I see it on your Twitter nowadays. But what's the new hotness with you?
I am so glad you asked because I have been waiting to talk to you guys. I'm anxiously to talk to you about Omen Site, which is the game that I was a co-writer with Nadim Bokira. He has a very hard name to pronounce, but I'll try my best. He and I were the writers for the game Omen Site that was just released, and it's getting great reviews, and the gamers are saying that they really like it, and they like the narrative, which I was a big part in writing, so that was awesome to hear. And Chris Avalone was the script doctor for the game, and he and I go way back. We did panels together at San Diego Comic-Con back in 2013. So it was really cool to work with him so long ago, and he's a incredible legendary writer in the gaming industry. And so to work with him on panels years ago when my first book came out, to then write with him on a game was really cool to have that full circle experience. And Spearhead Games, the developer that made Omen Site, is an incredible team of people that are located in Canada, and I was able to work remotely from LA to with them, and it was surreal. It was really cool. It was really great, and the game is I 1,000% back it, and the story and the characters and what we tried to achieve with, very subtle, but not preachy at all, but it has these themes of, bringing people together from all different, parts of the world. And I think, that's needed right now.
Yeah, totally.
Topical.
We talked about it in the pre-show, just this crazy, mad world that we're in. And so you've been keeping up with other video games, I assume. Who else is writing at a high level? Have you gotten to play any other games where you're like, now as a writer, I completely respect or understand this more?
I haven't been able to play too. I've been playing some Call of Duty, just for
me too. The storyline in Call of Duty,
not for the story per se, but just for fun. I don't play live. I play against the robots because I don't do well with being yelled at for not getting high enough kills.
Hey, that's why I stopped using mics a long time ago.
Yeah, I can't. I wish I was, up to their standards, but the very vocal players say I'm not, so I just play the campaign. And
they're not worth it.
Genese, this kind of frustrates me a little bit because, I know who you are and the crazy, amazing things you do. Equestrian, jet pilot, I'm pretty sure you were in Top Gun or something.
Glider pilot.
Okay, glider pilot. But she does all these crazy things. She writes books, actual gaming books, and then you won't go online because of the toxicity?
Well, in Call of Duty specifically,
okay.
It's
I mean, you were a big WoW person, so you know what it's like to go online and lead an army.
Totally. World of Warcraft, I was top DPS, I was really good shadow priest. I loved raiding. I loved that camaraderie, the collaboration in online games like that. But it's just FPSs are a different world. At least Call of Duty. They're the hardcore. If you're not top kills, you'll hear it.
I don't think anybody would argue that. That's honestly, I even back when I played a lot of FPS online, I stopped using a mic years ago. It just wasn't worth it. I was like, I want to play this and I want to have fun. I don't need some 12-year-old screaming at me and insulting me and calling me names past his bedtime.
Ivy, do you play with your mic, or how do you pursue FPS games online right now?
Nope. I don't listen to anybody. No.
And the mute button.
They're dead. They're all dead to me.
I think that's a very common thing with female gamers. Is because as soon as they hear a female voice, it's over. Game over. You're just screwed.
They flip tables and you're treated like crap. So mute button or just don't do tune it out. If I play Overwatch, I never get into group chat or anything like that. And, the only time I'm in any chat is if it's my own team of people that I'm playing with, i.e. friends.
Same.
So
and that's it.
This is a teaching moment. Teaching moment here, because we have a lot of men who listen to this show. And so what is proper etiquette for guys? If you jump into your favorite FPS and you do happen to hear a lady's voice, is the proper thing just to treat them like everybody else, or what do you do?
Just don't be a shitlord.
Do you defend them? If you hear a guy being a dick to a girl, what am I supposed to do? Do I jump in? Do I help? Do I intervene? What's the best etiquette? Do you guys have any stories?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what do you got?
I liked what your instincts were, Corey. That was cool that you thought that if you heard, maybe, a guy coming down on me for not being on top, kills, be like, hey, like, it's a game. Like, we're all at various levels. And I think the barrier to entry on some games keeps new players out because I'm at a disadvantage because I haven't been playing Call of Duties for years and years and years and years. And I don't have that, immediate, that skill that they've garnered. And so it makes it so that, new players are hesitant to come in because they aren't immediately as good. So I think it'd be cool if you jumped in and were like, hey, because I think a male telling another male to cool it does have it can rub off, and you might have more success in cooling off some.
They're more
totally
likely to listen
saying.
to another man than they are to listen to the woman that they're berating. So if you want to jump in and defend somebody, it is awful.
Like, that is absolutely terrible.
It's shitty, but
it shouldn't be that way, but it is the way.
But it is the way it is, and like, if you can use that to your advantage, then that's preferable than like over silence, or even if you don't want to say anything, just reporting the person, because the woman is already reporting this dude. But if you witness that kind of shit, report him. Get him fucking banned.
Do you have any stories specifically, Ivy, of times where, what made you shut the mic off to begin with? Was there a particular game?
Yeah, that happened after Halo 2.
Yes.
It's been a while.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because the entire community on Halo, like Halo, with Halo 2, when you started playing online and everything was great. For a while, it was great and it was awesome. And, there wasn't that, competitiveness in terms of just people being assholes. And at some point, it transitioned from that to just people being jerks. And, then Halo 3 came out. And, that tail end of Halo 2, right before launch of Halo 3, is when I was just done. I was absolutely done with hearing it. And Halo 3 onward, I have yet to hear someone say anything at all because I just won't deal with it anymore. I play for fun. I play recreationally, If I wanted to compete, I'd join a clan or something, but that's not my thing. It's for fun, and if I'm going to game and I'm going to be talked down to or treated like crap, then that's going to make me not want to play. So I'd rather mute everyone, not hear them, and I can enjoy myself.
That's interesting because that is the exact same time I got off. It was the switch between Halo 2 and Halo 3. Because Halo 2, I feel like, was like the golden age of multiplayer on Xbox Live. It was so good. And then at some point there was a distinct shift. And I remember, like, there isn't a specific game for me because it was just so often and so much that, like, I can't pinpoint a single one. It was constant. It was just constantly being berated either for my voice, because I was very young too. So I sound like I had a very high girl's voice. And it was just
I was always called a dude.
Oh,
like,
really?
That's a dude. Well, because my voice is generally a lot deeper. Yeah. And even my younger brother's friends, if I'd be gaming with him, they would also ask, they're like, oh, you didn't tell us you had a brother. And I'm like, you little asshole. Like, I'm a girl.
Well, and I remember very clearly, like, we were talking earlier about, like, things that you remember. I remember very clearly the first ever unsolicited dick pic I ever got was on Xbox Live after a game of Halo 2. I was 12 years old.
That's criminal.
No. And it was the year that they introduced the Xbox Live camera. And that was the first, like, time that I specifically remember the first time some dude ever sent me a picture of his dick.
What? So how does a 12-year-old respond? Did you tell your parents?
I didn't know what to do. So I knew it was something that I shouldn't be seeing and I shouldn't be looking at. So, like, I freaked out and I deleted it and I never said anything to anybody.
You're freaking Genese out right now because we just had, like, a long conversation catching up on how her new amazing family is going. And
yeah.
I mean, exactly. Like, Emma, it strikes a very nervous chord with me because I have a daughter. She's 3.5, and she's already asking so many questions. I mean, if we have the news on, she'll say she can pick up just the energy of the topic, and she'll say, "Why is the TV angry?" Or like. Right. Or she wants to be on my phone. She wants to be on tablet. She wants to be in the media. She wants to be in the computer, and I'm all of a sudden, bombarded with these questions. My husband saying, "We need to delete anything that's not age appropriate." Like, right? Like, what if she clicks on a news site and there's, shots of shootings and,
right.
Like, and then Emma, the thought that, she already wants to play games on our tablet that it freaks me out.
If it makes you feel better, I can say it never happened again on Xbox Live. It was the only time it ever happened on gaming, but it was the first, and it was something that like severely stuck out to me because I didn't know why or who. It was a grown ass man too. This was like a middle-aged man. But like it never happened again on that platform. But it's that sort of thing where like even something that you think is safe and is fine is like, it's like, yeah, there's an element there, but like even things that you think are fine, you never know how it's gonna go.
Right.
And
she stumbled on this little golf app game, which I thought was just a, single, like just you're by yourself playing, and
right.
she's flicking the balls with her finger, trying to get it in the hole. And then Eric was like, looked at it closer, my husband, and he was like, wait, she's playing with someone. Like it's a multiplayer.
Right.
Game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And
then,
I don't know who it is, and I don't know if they can chat. I don't know. Obviously, she can't like read or write right now, but just the idea that I didn't know she was playing with someone. Oh my heart!
And then the kicker was that she was actually winning.
Yes. She's a born gamer, guys. She was kicking the ass of whoever she was playing with.
How are you gonna? Because I mean, you a strong, powerful personality with you, Genese, and obviously you take your passions very far and seriously. Have you thought about that moment if Cora comes to you and she's like, I don't like video games, or I think I want to be a musician, or I don't know. Like how are you gonna be with that side of parenting? Are you trying to push them towards the gamer direction in little subtle ways?
I really feel like I was talking to a video game developer that I used to work with, and he has 2 kids in. Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my computer went to sleep, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I hope I'm not disconnecting." And he has 2 teenagers, almost out of high school, and he said that he continually got the question of, you're a game developer. What is your advice? And I'm kind of modeling after what his advice was, which was be open and give technology and push technology towards your kids, because it is the future. It is the jobs in the future, and they need to be very well versed in technology and in tablets and in their computers, because if they're not, they'll be behind. And it really made me rethink like the holding back, and instead as a parent, okay, let's be open to it and then just curate it, right? Like let's just keep an eye on what we're showing, but not keep it from, like, just because she's 3 doesn't mean she can't play a video game. Let's just make sure we know and teach her how to pick out video games, or how to not to buy she doesn't know yet, like, okay, don't buy this or don't click on this,
all the little microtransactions. And yeah, because you see headlines about that shit every once in a while, where they're like, some kid accidentally spent like $3,000 on his phone. Yep. He didn't know he was using real money.
Yep.
So I like that idea of turning off the instinct of, okay, let's hold her back, and opening up everything, but then just showing her how age appropriate is important, and let's make sure to, step by step, like, okay,
right,
we can play this, but we might not be able to play this game, and we can watch this video, but let's block this more adult type of channel, so
yeah. That's right. And I think like I'm obviously not a parent, but it's like one of these things where we all learned new technology as we were growing up. It's kind of just the norm now that you learn the new technology, but at the same time you learn how to use it safely. Like you learn how to communicate with others and how not to communicate with others, and what to say and what not to say and what not to do, and what, like, it's just, I feel like to us it feels like an extra step, but for the current generation, it's just going to be how they consume media.
I think it's kind of interesting to think of it like this current batch of Coras and the little babies out there are like almost new humans. Like everything that they could possibly want to know at such an early age is just there.
Well, and even the fact, even the fact that your 3-year-old knows how to use a phone and can play a game on your phone, that's mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I had my grandpa, I remember, gave me his encyclopedias. It was like all lettered, A through Z.
The whole set.
If I wanted to know about Wolverines, which was my favorite animal because of the cartoon. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a real animal. Let's go to W. They pull out
Pick
that
up the
W.
big ass dusty book.
You get a paragraph, and then that's all you know about Wolverines.
Unless you go to the public library. And
Which was not happening in my neighborhood. I was not going to...
And Ivy, something that you said about, just a Google away is also an asset in the fact that she is interested in things that I don't think a 3-year-old might have been able to be interested in had she not been exposed to media. Like, for instance, we stumbled upon, videos specifically for kids about the human body, and they do episodes that describe how, your kidneys or your lungs or your heart works. And she is so fascinated about the body and the organs and blood, and that now, like, when we get a cut, she wants to see the blood. She wants to put Neosporin on it and a Band-Aid.
Wow.
And
Yeah, a future doctor right there.
Oh,
my
I love
goodness.
it.
It's amazing. We brought her, this actual touchable skeleton that has little squishy organs inside that you can take apart and look at the organs and match them to the sheet that has all the names. And she's so, I think, even more interested in it because, like you said, Ivy, there is things that now we can enhance. Like, we talk about transmedia. I know Corey and Aaron and I talked about transmedia. We were on a panel together to talk about transmedia and how, we're having these expansive world building experiences, not just for movies, but now for, books or medical. And even game developers talk about how they're helping hospitals and doctors become better at their job because of media, because of video games. And so I do think, Corey, like you said, they're these new humans. These are new superhumans.
They're little superhumans that are just going to have access. And I'm just interested to see what happens when they get a little bit older.
Right.
We're seeing it in the formative years. Every friend I know who has a kid is like, yeah, my kid locks me out of my iPad. Like, he broke the code. He hacked into it. And these are smart IT people running.
She can draw the pattern on our phones perfectly.
Yeah.
At 3 years old.
This is insane. This is like a form of technology and way to use it that no other generation in history that young has had access to.
I remember.
I'll put it this way. It's super sad. When my sister was going to school, she asks me, she asked me to save something from my computer to her computer. So I say, okay, do you have a floppy disk? And she's like, what's that?
It's the same
And
symbol.
for me, it's like the look of shame, like, oh God, I'm this old. No, it's like, no, like, we have these. She's like, it's a stick. She's like, do you have a stick?
Well, yeah, what
do you mean a stick, Amy? Like, a floppy disk, the 3.5-inch disc. She's like, no, a stick, like a memory stick. And I didn't have a memory stick.
I'm doing social media for an esports organization, and the big word is memes. It's all about the memes,
the memes,
and for me, growing up, memes were transferred on floppy disks. I remember my uncle distinctly coming over with like a CD case that he put floppy disks instead, and he would open it up and be like, want to see a funny video? And he'd put it in the computer, and we'd watch these terrible videos of like a dancing baby from Ally McBeal.
Yes, the dancing baby.
So when I'm doing my technology job with memes and stuff on Twitter, I think back to that was my origin story. Like, these kids who are doing the same job, probably better than me, they don't know how hard I had it. We had to use floppy disks to tell our jokes. But yeah, it's a crazy world.
I think
we live
I was the last generation of kids that had floppy disks on our school supplies list in the beginning of the year.
They don't even make those no more.
Nope.
But Corey, if I can circle back real quick to what you're asking me about games, if I can't, and Emma and Ivy, what you're saying about just the kind of the toxicity sometimes that you feel in multiplayer, I tried Star Citizen for the first time the other day, and it's this spaceship exploration game, Persistent Universe, and what was interesting is how I have changed as a gamer since I was very hardcore back in 2011. And, well, I was really hardcore in 2002. And Final Fantasy 11, that's when I cut my teeth on, where now I was really hardcore. And, took breaks depending on college classes and all that. But I realized back from 2002, I was really excited about the social aspect of playing Final Fantasy 11 with people in Japan and in England and all these different places, because at that time I was really trying to bring back my voice. Like, Corey, you mentioned so kindly that I have a powerful voice. And when you said that, it struck a chord, because I still don't see myself as that, because back in 2002 I had lost my voice completely from trauma and personal episodes of violence, and it was Final Fantasy XI that really made it so I could be in the world again, but not really, safely. And I gravitated toward that social aspect because there were so many encompassing people that were just like, oh, let me help you get to know the game. And I didn't receive any like, oh, you're a girl. Like, I didn't receive any of that. It was a great opening to video games back in 2002 in Final Fantasy XI. And I really built back up my ability to converse with the world through that game. And then I realized now, playing Call of Duty in 2018 and feeling like, oh, I'm not up to par and I'm not good enough, so I'm just going to play with the bots or play the campaign. I played a game, Star Citizen, that's still in alpha, and so there's not that many players that you come in contact with because it's this spaceship exploration game where you're discovering planets and there's miles and miles of space to cover, so it's hard to run into people.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that now I was kind of relieved. I was like, oh, I can just play in this expansive universe, explore this planet that no one else is on, be in this really cool spaceship, feel like an astronaut. And I didn't miss or gravitate like I did back then with that social component. So I'm just trying, like, I'm interested on like my own evolution as a gamer from 2002 to 2018, and how I needed that socialness to kind of help me heal and meet people. And then I kind of came back to a different social component, which was FPS, not, raiding and MMOs. And I was like, oh, this doesn't fit. Now I'm going to go to more of like where you almost feel like a single player because it's such a, vast universe. Mm-hmm. And I was like kind of relieved, and I was like enjoying just playing alone. I don't know. How do you Ivy or Emma or Corey, do you ever feel like you've changed as a gamer of what you need or gravitate toward?
I think I'm changing now. I think hearing you say that and talk about what you did is like making me rethink my whole life, because it's like when you're playing online and you're mentioning like, how you lost your voice, but it was through nice, kind people online that help you find your way back and gain your voice. So all those, I'm replaying every time in my head where I was toxic to somebody on Overwatch for whatever reason. Oh, you get off the payload, and then now it's like, who knows? That person could be going through some stuff. That person might have lost their voice, and here I am. Get on the payload. We lost the video game. So thank you for that guilt. And I'm gonna be better now.
It's good though. It's a good guilt.
It's good to be aware.
It's a learning guilt.
Outside, it's good to take a look outside your bubble. If you're in chat or listening to this podcast, and you're the guy who pops off like I do sometimes, like, man, you don't know what people are going through, and sometimes.
Because Corey, like, what if those Final Fantasy XI players had not brought me in and treated me like a family member? I back then, to think that I could be on a panel in front of thousands of people, I would have, shrieked from the room and cried. Like, the fact that I was able to come to now do public speaking is a huge feat. Like, to do that, I don't know if I would have been able to do that without that healing process. So isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and it was positive people who helped like make it happen through a video game of all things.
Right, exactly. And then in 2018, I was playing Call of Duty and had such a different experience. And then I went to Star Citizen because of that peaceful serenity, and like I felt like I was in space. So how much farther can you get, right, from society than the stars?
Star Citizen is super interesting. We've talked about it. I feel like we've talked about it on the show since like forever, because it was huge like news of the stuff they're trying to do, and then it kind of fell off my radar. So you said it is an alpha now. Can anybody just join and play that, or is it closed alpha?
I believe it's still closed, but they're on the verge of another patch, which is a huge one, where it had all these different mechanics are coming into play, and there's a FPS portion of the game. There's a racing part of the game where you can just race other spaceships. Yeah, and then there's the persistent universe part of the game. So it's a very complex to code and to create, because of the you know how in Destiny you land on a planet, but it loads, like you're sitting there and loading.
Right.
With Star Citizen, you see a planet and you fly to it. It's actual like miles, like you're actually, you know, traversing through the universe that they're building. So I know firsthand that the coding of that is insane, and that, you know, they have so many people that are creating the actual assets and the, you know, the engine parts of the game that are so complex, and that every time they change something, you know, that ripple effect of all the bugs that it creates, and they have to fix those bugs. So I just, setting the game aside and the name of it aside, space to me, space travel, and I like what this game represents, because space to me is what we all can come together and stand behind and rally behind and get excited by, because there's no division. Like, it doesn't matter where we were born or who we are, or what our parents tried to tell us, our, you know, what our religion or what our political affiliation is. Because that's another thing I realize as being a parent. I'm like, my parents told me I should be this, you know, affiliation, and I should believe this, and like, and they were very, like, especially my dad, who was in the Army and the state police officer, like very hardcore about it. I didn't have a choice. It was like, yes, sir, you have no opinion.
Right.
And now as a mom, I'm like, wait a second. I want her to have an opinion, and I want to show her like all of the different religions and all the different political sides, and all, like, I want it to be an open discussion. I don't want to tell her what's right, because that means that she's going to think someone else is wrong, and that's not fair. Like, it's an automatic division, right? But like space, we can all be like, hey, we want to be astronauts and discover Mars and be like Venus. Like, we want to know. I'm so excited. I'm choking up. Anyway, that's what I love about what Star Citizen represents, is like this game that's pushing us as an evolutionary species to get out there and explore and become, you know, a better us.
My religion is space.
Yes, that was so cool.
I think Genese just converted me to space as well.
One of us.
Goosebumps. Like, that. Awesome.
I mean, we're getting a Space Force too, though.
Oh
right?
my God.
Space Force, yeah.
No.
I'm signing up for Space Force.
Oh, I love you guys. Like, this is energy right
No,
here.
that really,
Electrifying.
like, I really like where you're going with there, especially with like religion and stuff, because like I didn't grow up, like, not gonna get into like religious conversation or anything, but like I grew up with my mom didn't like subscribe to one belief or anything. Like, we weren't Christian or Catholic or anything, but she loved to study other religions and like take bits and pieces of their philosophies and like the morals, not necessarily the beliefs, but the morals of how they live their life, and apply that to her. And so like we learned so much from our mother. Like, my mom would teach us about Islam. She was Wiccan for a while. Like, we learned about Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, she would just pick and choose everything. She's like, I like this and I like this and I like this, and none of it like really impacts anything else, but I'm just going to apply this to how I live my life so I can be a better person.
Right. I mean, it's so cool that you were able to get like such a diverse tip, like just a tiptoe, right? It's not like you know, had to memorize every single thing about everyone. Like, you just got a taste of it. And I think that's so cool that you sound and look and feel like such a well-rounded person. You know what I mean? Like, just meeting you, I'm like, yeah, you're just so amiable. And that's really...
I will tell her she did well. I'll be like, Mom, everybody says you did good.
Well, I tell her that, like, as a mom, I want to do that. I want to pick up every book and, you know, read them with Cora, and, you know, because
but then
that's so accepting, and it doesn't automatically, you know, because like my parents were like, okay, this is the right religion and everyone else is a sinner. Like, it was just so close-minded, right? That to me, I can't get behind that. It just makes me feel sad.
Well, and then like her open-mindedness like applied to everything else too. So like you were saying, books, like anytime I was interested in a book, she would read it. Or like even if she wasn't that great at video games, she loved to sit down with me and be like, all right, teach me how to play this. So I remember like playing the original Halo with her, and like just the two of us, and I'm trying to teach her how to walk, and she's like, she has a shotgun and she's shooting the corner of the wall because she can't figure out how to turn. And she just wanted to be a part of it.
Ivy, Cory, and I were like, I want to do that with my mom, right? I hope. I'm the only one that's like, oh, I want to do that with my mom.
That reminded me of like, I've had a pretty rough upbringing. I feel like I had my family upbringing would make a pretty dope like movie. Like,
Really?
there's tons of, it'd be like Narcos.
Do you need me to ghost write it?
Oh, please. Oh, it'd be Breaking Bad mixed with like all sorts of like Sons of Anarchy,
man.
like crazy white trash druggy stuff. And my dad is kind of a terrible person who I've completely disassociated with.
Oh.
But the best memories I have were those 2 or 3 times I could distinctly remember him and I playing video games together. He was trash, but he would grab the second controller and we'd play Tekken. And it was like, I don't know. It's the only like really, really, really good memories I have of him. And he was trash. Like I'm saying, he's a terrible person. So like, that's powerful in a way that like those shared experiences, that was like one of the times he really took interest in what I was doing and we had fun together.
Right.
It was crazy.
That story does need to be told. I volunteer. I don't a lot of books right now, but I want your story told.
I've had this idea, like podcasting, obviously my passion and medium, but I've really thought about doing like a docu-series just for my family's sake of doing like where did this go wrong? Let's start from the beginning and interview my grandmother and see like, and really make my dad the star, because I turned out okay. I'm not, I don't know. I think I did okay with it, but I think there was lessons to be learned from like the tragedy, and I think drugs are really, really bad. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you hear drugs are bad, but like it's one of those experiences where I could tell you drugs are really, really bad. Like,
yeah.
Don't do them. And if maybe making some sort of podcast where I could tell the story that culminates and maybe reconnecting with an interview with him, I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, but it'd definitely be the most difficult thing I'd ever done.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if it could stir up things that shouldn't, or cause more dissension, or I don't know.
It's hard because you have to relive it. I mean, every character, especially in a novel, every character I have to write for, I have to relive their arc, their plot, right? Their arc in the story, and it's very emotionally draining because you have to get into it and hear the voice and go over their backstory over and over again to try to get inspiration for the next chapter, and especially when it's a series. And I think you should do it because I think you have like you said, it's an interesting point of view and a story that isn't that often told from a family perspective, but it is going to be tough.
Oh, so how was E3, everybody? What did you guys think of E3? E3 was pretty good.
We always. Yes,
I mean, if you're looking, let's see, if you're
it.
looking for like a happy subject change, no, just like our whole like talking about parents and video games reminds me that like I got into video games, and I tell this story all the time because I think it's really cute. But I was 7 years old when the first Halo came out. And I remember seeing it and watching my dad and my sister play, and I really wanted to play it because it looked so cool, but I was really afraid of the Covenant. The aliens just scared the shit out of me. But I was so invested in the story, I wanted to know what it was. So I would make my dad play it, and I would sit on the couch next to him and watch it because I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch the Covenant, but I could take my eyes, like I could take my hands off my eyes for the rest of it. And that was what got me like hardcore into gaming, was making my dad sit next to me and play this game for me because I couldn't do it. And then like growing up, like Halo was always big to my family. Like my dad got us into it. My sister and I bonded over it a lot. Like it's crazy how video games can just, I don't know. I mean, it's just, maybe it's any experience, but in my life it was video games. It was like what brought everybody together.
Oh, absolutely. I have a question for you guys too about how you feel about AI, because I just got asked to write for a new AI brain, which sounds really cool.
What is that?
Thank God they chose you.
What does that mean?
Oh my God. I feel so much peaceful that that's the one AI that will not do Skynet or some crazy.
Wait, can you like explain what that means? Like, what does it mean to write for the brain?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. Every time I'm in Video Game Bang, you guys are always to hear about like my new projects that are going on. I always reveal. Because it's just perfect timing. You always happen to have me, right? When
we know.
We are knowing. So basically, this company that is creating a new AI brain, instead of asking, so it's just like Alexa or Echo or Siri or whatever you want to call it. Whenever you talk to Google or say, "Okay, Google, what's the weather?" or "Tell me my shopping list." So those are all very useful, AI type brains that, search the web and then pull info for you and tell it to you, or tell you the info that you've stored, like your lists or whatever. So this AI brain, who has seen the movie Her? For everybody, raise your hand if you have.
I have, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so Corey
So
and
sad.
Emma, just a little bit.
Yeah, it was like on a plane situation, so I saw.
Me too.
the
Do you know the
gist.
premise?
Yeah,
Do you
oh,
know
yeah,
what it's
yeah.
about? Her. Okay.
So
Yeah.
sad.
Right?
I didn't finish it.
I feel you. So it's think of that. Like basically, this company is on the track for that, where instead of you always having to prompt the AI brain with questions to get the answer, this AI brain is going to listen to your questions and remember them and know you and ask you questions back.
Whoa.
So it's like
Yeah.
like a natural language sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's so cool, you guys.
So it's getting to know you.
I'm thrilled.
It's
and
learning
I'm
from
also-
you.
Yeah, and it's just it's very exciting to write for. But at
So-
the same time, it's weird because it does feel like the future is here.
Right.
So
So when you're
basically-
writing, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, basically they showed me the brain, and there are these, they call it extruders and absorbers, and so it's absorbing information and extruding the answers or its point of view. And I have to write examples of dialogue that I've learned and mastered over 7 years of writing books and games and narrative to help the brain learn our way of language communication, and it's crazy. So I have to come up with examples of dialogue of what I think you and I, all of you, would ask, and then what, the rabbit hole of what that would go towards. So let's just brainstorm here. So if we ask, what do you like to do? The AI brain, I have to write a wealth of examples that it can learn from skiing and writing,
okay. Yeah.
and all of these different just written examples.
Mhm.
And then the brain will take sentences that it's learned from you and construct what the wealth of information I've written to formulate back. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's so crazy, you guys.
See, the thing that always scared me about that with AI is in the wrong hands.
Right.
That could be chaos, and that's for me. I've always been just this paranoid person about everything. So that's always a thing that scares me. In the wrong hands, this could be so bad, but in the right hands, this could have the potential to do so many amazing and boundless things.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Ivy, because like Corey said, I am a very to a fault. I absorb, and I'm very sensitive to the point where if I watch a movie that is horror in any way, I will have nightmares. It sinks
Same.
in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you an
my
empath?
Oh my gosh, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
Yes, same. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
where the heaviness of the world is real to me, and I can't disassociate. This is just a movie. To me, that's really happening to someone, and it's
Right.
very visceral. It's very.
Yep.
It's
Because you feel like it's happening to you. You're experiencing that pain or that happiness along with that other person or event that's going on. So for me, it's very difficult to watch the news or see what's going on in the world, because for me, I feel all of those things. Seeing a sad moment in a movie about loss, for me, feels like I lost that person. I feel their pain and I relate to it, even though I may not have experienced that lost physically in my own life. I absolutely feel that.
I can almost confirm this for Ivy in the times where we'll get a message where she's like, I had a nightmare last night. I'll be like, what? Of what? And you're like, well, no, I was watching.
Yeah.
And I felt like it happened to me. It's totally
because
based
I
off
have no one to talk to. When I have nightmares, the first thing I want to do, I want to call someone or my mom.
Absolutely.
And say, hey, I need to work this out through my brain because it feels very real. I woke up, I'm sobbing because I feel like I experienced this, even though I know I didn't. I'm still going through all of these emotions, and I just need to get it out of my system.
I remember that conversation distinctly, and me being completely kind of the opposite was like, Ivy, it was a dream. It's not real. But you're like, but my cats. my cats, Cory.
But my cats.
It was just interesting. It was a new way for me to, like, I'd never experienced that with a person before, and it was eye-opening. And it's not, I'm not making fun of you whatsoever. I'm just, for me, I'd never experienced it, and it was a learning moment. I was like, wow, that people could really be that sensitive to some emotion that I deem completely fictional or not real, but it was real to you, and it was nuts.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But, which is why I am like, I'm being very cautious, and I'm being very thorough to make sure that I write empathetic scenarios, like, you know what I mean? And very polite and proper usage of human connection and human interaction. And one of the things that this author that I interviewed on my podcast, well, the Assembly of Geeks podcast, the Gamers Dominion, and I'll say, Cory and Aaron, you guys are really inspirations for what gave me the courage to say yes to hosting that, by the way. So thank you.
I love that show.
You know, anyway, well, that's a whole other topic. But so on this show, I was interviewing an author who he's an engineer and an author and knows a lot about tech and AI specifically. And he said it irks him when his son talks to whatever, they have, Echo or whatever, or Alexa. He said specifically Alexa because it's a woman's name and it's a woman's voice. And he said it really irks him when his son goes, Alexa, what time is it? What's the weather? Whatever the command is. Yeah. And because he was like, it's teaching my son not to be respectful to a woman's voice. Like, he's not saying please. He's not saying thank you.
Oh, you're right.
And he had this moment where he was like, my son is interacting. Yes, he doesn't know it's just a computer. It sounds like a woman. Mm-hmm. And here he is. There's no, and so he asked me, not asked me, he's told me I'm concerned with the future of AI. And just like what Ivy said, that we are not writing and instituting these very necessary human parameters and connection factors. And so I remembered that. And when I got this job recently, I mean, it just happened, right? Just got this job right for the AI. And I remember that, and I go, I am going to try my best to make an impact and help, keep that sensitivity between us that we need. And that a parent is worried about that his son is getting used to treating a woman with no polite verbiage.
Right.
Wow.
Like, we're becoming increasingly detached.
It's funny because I feel like an insane person because when I use Alexa or when I use my Xbox Connect,
Alexa,
stop listening.
Alexa, stop listening.
When I use that device or I use my Connect, I feel crazy because I say thank you when it does things for me. Like, I'll tell my Xbox and be like, Xbox, go here, and it does it, and I'm like, thank you. I'm like, who the fuck am I talking to?
No, you're awesome.
I'm not kidding. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you on that because my stuff got stolen, but that's a whole other thing. We've gone over that. But when I had my Alexa, I'd get home and say, Alexa, how was your day? I'd converse and, oh, it was great. Or good morning, Alexa, or Alexa, good morning. How are you? Things like that. Only because my house is so quiet. I live by myself. It's very, very quiet. It gets so lonely. So, so like just having those, for me, like just having that dialogue with Alexa is really cool. But for me, it's always just been very friendly, like with what Emma's saying. I've never been demanding of Alexa unless she gives me,
she talks back sometimes.
She talks back.
Let's be honest. Sometimes Alexa just is spiteful.
Or sometimes she'll say something randomly on her own, which is creepy as hell.
For Cora, if she's in the room and I ask, we call ours Echo, but if I ask Echo to turn off the light, I will say, Echo, thank you, so that she can hear Echo say, you bet, or anytime. Like,
wait, it responds?
Yes, you can say, if you say the command and then say the name again and thank you, whatever.
This just changed my life. This just changed the course of my everyday life.
And
I'm going to do that all the time.
Hears that, so because she like, if Eric forgets to say thank you or you're welcome or may or I do, she'll be like, Mama, say you're welcome. I'm like, oh yeah,
that's so cute.
So it's cool, and so I'm specifically. And what's cool, Ivy, too, is that this brain will be more conversational. So if you come home and say, how's your day? this brain will not only answer but follow up, which is awesome. Like,
That's
it's so cool that it'll be its main purpose is conversational, fun. It's interactive.
Yeah.
And whereas what we have now is for commands, like what's the weather,
Right.
turn off the lights, like, or Xbox Connect. So I would love any and all of your input, and anybody listening and watching. What would you like, this AI brain to have, and what would you like to implement, and what do you see as pros and cons? And I any and all feedback, please, because I'm literally on the project right now and it just started. So I want all of your input. I would love to voice it.
I feel like it's one of those things where it would be hard to have it like not respond if you're not polite, or like you didn't say please so it doesn't work. But if it had like positive reinforcement, like if it registered that you said please, or you said may I, you said thank you, like it responds in a positive way, and their response is like it's positive reinforcement, like you only get this sort of thing. Like, or if the voice responds in a different way, or there's different commands that are nicer or turn out better because you used polite language, or it uses polite language back at you.
Yeah, maybe giving it a little bit of that sass too. Like, I don't know, if you ask it nicely, it'll do it like you said, and give you more of a positive tone, and maybe it'll do it a little quicker too.
Yeah.
And then if you're a jerk,
write this down. This is awesome. I'm gonna write it down.
It has like a loading screen if you're a jerk about it.
Yeah, if there's a jerk, she'll be like, all right, in a minute.
I'll get to it when I want to.
Yeah, I'll get to it in a minute. I think that would be cool. And
that's really cool.
The fact that you guys have actually, like, these empaths on the show have actually thought to, care about the AI saying please and thank you. Again, something to me that blew me away with this newfound information. Now when the robot overlord decides to rise and you guys are spared, I'll know why.
It's interesting too.
Like, I was polite to my overlord.
Exactly.
When Alexa sits on her throne, she's gonna say, "I spare Ivy, Genese, and Emma because they said please."
It's interesting too, because like I say thank you to the robots that I talk to because I'm simply not used to not doing it. Like, it's like programmed into me that like it's just rude not to say these things, so it's second nature. But I've never thought about the fact of doing it on purpose so that younger generations realize it's how you talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Or like you're saying, like not realizing that you can't just demand something of a person the way you demand something of an AI. That's interesting.
Right. And like you guys said, what would be, it would be so cool to have, like you said, not that the AI won't do it, but what would be something sassy or something cute that the AI could say, where like you could throw in a please in there.
Yeah.
As a writer, I am still working out, like, how can I help the brain come across not preachy, but still indicate like that a may I and a please and a thank you are appreciated. That's a very hard line. You guys are gonna have to help me.
Well, the thing about, okay, so here's a question. So with your daughter, for example, how did you teach her to say please and thank you?
When she would say, "I want water," I would say, "Okay, honey, when you want something, it's really nice to say please." And it helps people, want to help you more when we're polite. That's how I would explain it.
So it's like finding a mix of something like that, but also not treating the user like a child.
Oh, yeah!
It's like finding that balance in there. Or like, you don't want your AI to be like, well,
look, sweetie.
Right.
Did my Alexa just mansplain? So it's like a balance. Parenting, yet not treating.
Yeah, that's right. I like that. And my mom, she's always been really good at grammar, and English was her favorite subject, and she loved music and English, and so she would always teach us like, okay, may I and please and thank you. But she would always try to help us if we said something incorrectly. She would be like, okay, yeah, you can say that, but grammar wise, you would want to say, like, one of her big ones is, "I feel badly." And everybody says I feel bad, but she's like, "Oh, technically it's I feel badly." So she's like, "Will you please teach Cora that it's badly?" So I'm like, "Okay, for you, Mom, I will try to go."
My mom used to harp on the one that my mom harped on was it's not me and my friends, it's my friends and I. Constantly. Right? And it's funny because even in conversation, I've never forgotten this, because like if she is talking about something, she's like, I'm saying this thing, but also this thing. She will literally in her sentence say, "however, comma." And then I'm like, she says the word comma, and so when I was like in school, I never forgot that you follow that up with a comma because she constantly fucking says it.
Right.
And I say it sometimes.
My mom and your mom have a lot of common. That's awesome.
How
So yeah, I
have a
love if you guys have. Yeah, I would love my contact info is on my website, and anybody that has any. I really want to be a good influence on this future technology, this AI brain, and I love any input. And I'm also working on a new video game for a different company that's coming out that wants to be. It's not unannounced at all because it's very different. It's similar to this kind of interactive AI technology, but different, where you're like the God view, and you get to go with this character interactively on. Think of the way back in the day, like text games. What do they call? So sorry, I'm blanking. But what do they call
mobile games?
The very, very old, where you would text the command.
Text-based games? I think that's just what
Yeah,
they
there was like a slang term.
There some
was.
slang full term.
Yeah.
All right, text-based games.
Zord.
Think of it like that, but visually. So you're commanding the characters in the game to quest and puzzle, but it's in that text-based scenario where it's very more a narrow scope, where you're in it. I kind of like Diablo, right? Where you're you feel like you're in the game, God view, but more interactive, like an AI brain. So that's also something I'm now writing for this game company. So it's interesting that my writing jobs are going very AI, futuristic, interactive, more Her, like the movie Her. So it's Ivy, like you said, it's cool, but it's also wow, kind of eerie. And
it kind of also reminds me of Joy from the new Blade Runner movie. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh yeah.
But that what you're talking about, it sounds like it's kind of like a mix between the two. Because with her, she definitely does learn from the guy. She learned from the
Ryan
dude.
Gosling, whose name I can't remember in the movie.
Yes, him. Yeah, so she learns from him, and she definitely feels those emotions and things like that. And I think it's kind of like, to me it sounds like a marriage between the two.
For you as gamers, is that what do you think of? Does that spark interest? Does that spark it's too different than what we have? How does that make you feel?
I love it. I'm so on board with I know a lot of people are worried about AI. Like Stephen Hawking was very no, don't do this. I'm so on board with it. I am so on board with everything, the way technology is advancing. Anything
as long as
new.
It doesn't kill me.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't kill me. As long as it follows the laws of robotics.
Freaking Skynet apocalypse, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm so here for the advancement of everything. I can't wait to see what all of this becomes.
Because
I want my own Jarvis.
It's good to hear because Cory, you and Aaron have talked about how when you're playing a role-playing game, like Omen Site, the one I just wrote for, you're in there with a companion, but it's you can't go a certain direction. You have to follow. You're forced, right? You're forced down the narrative. Linear. Yeah. Thank you. So, what do you think about how the fact that this game is going to be the ultimate sandbox, but you're the God view, you're talking to this character, but they're asking back, they're challenging you back, are you sure you want to go take a left? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not going to be linear. Your companion isn't going to be the one just helping you or following you. They're actually going to ask you questions back.
That's almost scary. I remember Lionhead Studios, the guys who made Fable, before they got acquired by Microsoft, or maybe during, they put out this thing called Project Milo. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was a little 10-year-old boy named Milo.
I didn't.
And
I don't know that one.
It used the Kinect, and you talk to this kid, and he'd ask you questions, and you could he would throw something to you, and you would have to pretend to catch it. It was really, really out there.
That was one of the first things they did with Kinect, right? That was one of their pushing what the technology could do.
Never got off the ground to my knowledge. It was Peter Molyneux, so he was really known for exaggerating and making stuff up anyways. But that was the first time it ever crossed my mind, and I was very curious about it. I didn't like what I'd seen, but it did open it up to wow, the future of role-playing games could get Westworldy here really quick. Like
in a good way or a bad way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Depending on who you are.
Yeah, but a game like the way we look at these linear stories now, and you know how we're like, oh well, linear stories, but we have RPGs where you could go make these decisions, and you know you're the dictator of these storylines. You know, if you want to go left, you go left. But to think that maybe there's going to be another level to that,
because like when you think of that, like there's still an end game. There is still a point
still a game.
That you're going.
There's still zeros and ones to where it's either if then programming.
Yes.
But if it gets to a situation to where it could go all over the place based off of things you say, you know, or how it learns you, or that's scary.
You completely change it.
That's so scary.
I think one of my favorite AI that I've ever seen in game is the Alien in Alien Isolation.
Okay.
Because
that thing is terrifying.
When you die multiple times, it learns your routes.
Yep.
Like if you if I hide in the same locker every time, it knows I'm going to be in there. So the next time I respawn and I go to that locker, it goes there because it knows that's where I just died.
Yeah.
So the way we look at linear
Terrifying.
games now to these big Bethesda RPGs, I'm just thinking, well, there's going to be another level to where we're going to be like, oh, it's just like an RPG. Like I can't talk to the character and become its friend. And,
Right.
You know,
there's
like,
always the next level. Like we think we're at the top right now. I mean, we are at the top right now by its nature of what technology is and can be at this very moment. But like, there's gonna come a time, 20 years from now, we're gonna look back and be like, what the fuck were we doing back
that's
then?
so lame, man.
There were only 34 endings to Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now my companion is actually the best man in my real wedding because we've made so much good friends. Oh man, Genese, you always get our brains spinning. Like this is awesome. Yeah, this is crazy. How you make us think.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always I feel the same. It's always really great conversation.
You can get all of this.
Last time, I remember Aaron. He was helping. We all were brainstorming on a character in the sci-fi series of like where he should be from, or because I was having a trouble like picking the criteria. So I write novels for companies. Sometimes they're game companies, sometimes they're movie companies, and this particular project is for a movie company. And hey, if you guys want to have cameos in it, I
gosh,
done. Characters from my book in the movies.
That's a dream come true.
Done. Where do we sign up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I'm all in.
And one of my bosses was like, okay, I want this character to be a foreigner. Like, it doesn't matter. You pick, Genese, like where, what country they're from or whatever. And we were all brainstorming and we couldn't come up. I remember we all were like, I don't know. We were throwing out all these different countries. But Aaron, he told me that he was going to, email me and give me more ideas. He never did. But I'm
typical Aaron.
Now it's still so.
Now it's Canada.
So I'm on book 2 of 3 for the sci-fi series, and I just finished the fantasy novel that we talked about last time. It's done. I shipped it.
Ooh.
It's in the hands of the company
Congratulations.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you celebrate that?
Thank you for asking. Because I literally, it was April 24th, and I was making the very final edits, and my nanny who watches my daughter while I'm writing, she was supposed to leave at 5:15, and it was like 5:30, so I'm like sweating because she's supposed to leave, and I'm making these final edits, and she knew that it was the day that I needed to send in the manuscript, and she was fine with it. She's like, it's fine. Take your time. We're having fun. And I'm writing, and I finished the very last edit on the last page. I composed the email. I attached the document, and I hit send. And then there was no fireworks. Like this 365-page document, 90,000 something words.
The world just kept spinning.
And my laptop, and I just hit send. And that was it.
There was no like, I got it done. It's done. It's over.
I did. I texted my husband.
I bet the AI you're designing will celebrate with you.
With my mom on the phone.
This is true.
We went to dinner. Yeah, the AI.
The AI will celebrate with you.
Your mom's pretty incredible. I remember I met your mom at a convention. She's like a perfect little partner in crime, man. She runs that booth.
Yeah, she's a runner. She's a biker. She's a lifeguard. She's a swimmer.
Damn.
And my final note that if we have time, is that I'll say she has inspired me. She She doesn't want me to say her age on it, but I'm going to say it. She just turned 70. Nobody tell her I told you.
All right. I don't
Okay.
think she
It's our
listens
secret.
regularly.
It's our secret.
But you know what's cool about that is that it inspires me to write characters that emulate her, and I still have a hard time. Like in pitch meetings, I'll be in a Beverly Hills skyscraper in a room of men that are in charge of producing all these movies, and they'll say, okay, this female character, she's going to be 18 and 25. That's what we always cast. And I have to face my fear and speak my voice and say, actually, this character that I wrote, I envisioned her, to be, 60s, 70s, and still kick ass. Like, you can still be a kick ass character and be in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. Like, she is, like, my mom is proof, right?
Right.
That she is a swimmer and a biker and a runner and a lifeguard. And it's like, they can't still media can't wrap their head around, like, you don't have to cast a female in if you want her to be a strong kick-ass character. She doesn't have to be in this tiny age limit.
Right.
So I'm doing my best, guys. I need my little voice,
No, and we appreciate it.
I think
I
it's
appreciate
comforting
it.
for people to know that there is a Genese Davis in that room.
Yes,
'Cause
it
you
is.
see,
No,
like we talked about the
absolutely.
meme of the guys in the boardroom, and then the one person talks out of line and they
You
throw him out the window.
window.
But I'm glad to know that there's a Genese in there fighting these fights, so that we're gonna little by little we will institute the change that we want to see.
Absolutely. And
through
even though
strong
I'm
people like you.
writing, a novel that is, I'm not writing the screenplay, but I'm writing in the same world, right? So I can say, look, as a writer, I'm writing these characters, and this is why I'm envisioning them as this age, or this ethnicity, or this background, or this whatever gender. Like, it's not fair that we still have these stereotypes that. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
Oh man,
I love it.
We're gonna have you back. We've been way too long without you, Genese. We gotta get Aaron back on so you guys could reconnect. I know it killed him to miss this one, but we'll have him back on with you. And but I think I learned a lot as a dumb man. I feel so much more in tune with what's going on out there. I hope other people do as well. Genese Davis, you can hear her on her podcast, The Gamers Dominion, which is a part of the Assembly of Geeks Network. You can find her on Twitter at Genese Davis, and pick up the book. It's available all over the place on Amazon ebook. You can get it. It's The Holder's Dominion. And then is this one
woman going head to head with a hacker, by the way.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
strong female lead. It's like a syndicate MMO, like gets into the real world. It's pretty amazing. And then
I have 4 other novels finished, but I don't know the publishing date because they're in the hands of companies and red tape. And
so that means we got at least 4 more guaranteed.
but
Genese
Omensight, you can
spots
see
back
my
on the show.
writing in Omensight. I have lots of writing in Omensight. It's out now on PlayStation and PC on Steam.
Ivy, you're heading
I'll
into
check that out.
Ivy. You're
Yes,
heading into
please.
convention season. What are the last? What are your next appearances down there in good old LA?
Anime Expo this Saturday from 4 to 6, booth 411, like information. I don't even know if that still exists.
No,
Oh,
people
God.
don't know what that
No?
means anymore.
Oh no!
I mean, everybody knows the slang.
Yeah.
What's the
What's
411?
the 411?
Oh,
Even
that
that's
was the
getting
number
old
you
though.
dial on your phone to find out the. Oh,
You guys
God.
remember popcorn? Anybody call popcorn?
Oh Jesus!
No.
Emma? Oh, see.
Is
And
that
then,
where you had to call and they would tell you what movies are
Yes, there you go.
Hello and welcome to
Ancient.
Movie Phone.
Yeah.
playing? Movie phone. That's the one I
777
know.
FILM.
And then you got
Ivy, I hope we see each other at San Diego.
Oh yes, for sure. We're both going to be at San Diego
Emma!
Comic Con.
Yes, I will be there as well.
these 3 will be in San
Yes.
Diego. I will not.
I will only be there Friday and Saturday. I have a panel on Friday and 2 on Saturday. I won't be there any other days, but will you guys be there Friday and Saturday?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be signing at my booth 4016 all 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. All 5 days at San Diego, and then I'm heading out right afterward to MCM Manchester in the UK. So if you guys are out there, make sure
Fancy.
you guys come and say hi, see me. But yeah, that's my schedule for the next month.
Let's go back to Genese too. I'm sorry because I did the plug, but I don't know your offhand the panels and times and stuff for your San Diego Comic Con.
Friday will be, I am on Tony Kim's panel, which is called Building a Geek Brand. That's Friday at 2 p.m.
Tony's awesome, by the way.
Wait. Saturday. Saturday. Yes. I'm confused. Friday at 2 p.m. is my panel about creativity and how we finish novels and video games and stay inspired and get through those creative blocks. And Saturday I have a panel about narrative design in general. So narrative design for books, for video games, for movies, and how those are the same yet different. You know, how you tackle as a writer all of these different writing jobs, and then also how to get into the industry and become a writer. And then I'm also on Tony Kim's panel building. Yeah, and he is awesome. That's how Ivy and I met.
Yeah, you're with Ivy's friend on there too, panel. Anna Mia, I believe. Who else is on that panel with you? That seems like a big one.
That's right. Anna Mia and Andre Meadows.
Andre Meadows, yeah, he's been on our show too. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
and
we're all connected. We are all one.
And then my panels have Dennis Illick, who's an amazing photographer. I also have Rovia, who's a video game developer, creator, writer. And I'm so bad, you guys, because I'm confusing Wizard Worlds. You know how I have panels?
There's so many.
I have Wizard panels in Boise, Idaho. If anybody's going to be in Boise, Idaho, July 13th, 14th, and 15th, I'll be there. And then I'll be in San Diego those 2 days, Friday and Saturday. But basically, writing panels, creativity panels, book panels, and building a brand panels.
She's I told you, real life Wonder Woman. And Emma, you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. Give us your rundown.
Yes, I will be at Comic-Con, but I am not fancy or special, so I don't have any,
You're in a fashion show.
That's true, but only because Rachel. Yes, Thursday is the Her Universe Fashion Show. If you guys are interested in that, that will be Thursday at I think 5. I think lineup for that starts at 1. You do not need a San Diego Comic-Con badge to attend. It is in a hotel around in the area. So if you want to go to the Her Universe Fashion Show, if you're getting in the area, don't feel like you have to have a badge. You can just come on in. It's gonna be a fun night. And then other than that, I will just be hanging out, cosplaying, chilling, shopping.
All right. Well, that was
you guys, will you please? I'm dying to hear what you think about Omen Site. So please play it and tell me about the writing.
All right.
Please. I'm so excited.
Well, that's not fair because we maybe a couple years ago that could have been possible, but now we know you so well and love you so much that there's no way we're gonna not like it.
Right.
It's that thing when you're so close to a person, you've ruined it. We're the worst people to critique
tell me your favorite character. Play it and just please tell me what your favorite character was, and I'll tell you how many pages their backstory was when I had to write.
Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna do it. We'll do it. Omen Site. I'll check if it's on Steam sale. I'm buying it tonight.
Yes. We're having a summer sale. It's PlayStation and Steam.
All right, everybody, and just to let you know, we're doing a huge giveaway still. A couple weeks left on it. If you're in Twitch chat, !giveaway gives you the link. You can go to our Twitter page, click on the top tweet, and you can enter to win a Nintendo Switch in honor of the VGB 5-year anniversary. So you're going to want to try and win that bad boy. But that's it, guys. We're going to do a little bit of an after show for those of you on Twitch. So if you're listening to this, you should be on Twitch. I got to thank the big sponsors. Oblivion Comics and Coffee. Come for the comics, stay for the coffee. Sacramento's #1 comics and coffee store.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
You had me on with them.
Yes. Yeah. They're
when
open.
They were first opening, right?
Yeah.
When they won the funding.
And it's amazing. It completely executed the dream. They've been amazing partners for us. They have the video game bang themed drink. It's amazing. We love that place. Also, our GamerSups. GamerSups GG. Get your bump with GamerSups. And Energy Esports. Thank you guys for esporting. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much. And we will catch you next week.